Hey, your government is totally out of control, and you probably don't need me to tell you that. Just this last week, a guy in Clarkston, Georgia, called Steve Miller, but it's not the singer. He was he was not arrested. He was fined over $5,000 for growing too many vegetables in his backyard. Now, the laws are supposed to be there to protect the public. So what are they protecting the public from in this case? Vegetables? I mean, everybody knows that vegetables are good for you, so it can't be that. And it's not pesticides either, because the vegetables were organic. And what this is about is just picking people's pockets to take that money and put it into the pockets of the government, the corporations. Same thing. And another guy was fined $375 because one of his chickens supposedly escaped from his property. He went to court and represented himself. And he asked the witness, could you identify the chicken? She said she could not. She said it was brown, it looked like a chicken. They all look the same to her. But the point is, maybe it wasn't even his chicken. He says he doesn't even raise chickens. It could have been anyone's chicken. Number one. Two, it could have been a plant. Or three, so what if the chicken escaped? They said, oh, it could pose a hazard to somebody traveling down the road. Well, whoever wrote that law obviously doesn't know very much about chickens, because they're really small, and if you hit one with your car, all that's going to happen is the chicken's going to get squashed. Nothing's going to happen to your car. Happened to somebody I know recently, ran over his chicken. The chicken's finished. The car was fine. They're also, totally out of control when it comes to licensing. Everybody needs a license. Apparently now 1 out of 3 people in their profession needs a license to practice their profession. And these people running a tour guide business down in Washington, D.C. are, they're facing like 90-day jail sentence because they don't have a license to be a tour guide. But a tour guide just tells people about stuff. They just tell stories. So it's unconstitutional to make them have to have a license because it's their right to free speech. What, you're not allowed to take people around the city and give them a piece of your mind on Washington, D.C.? Now, this is just another way to pick people's pockets with licensing fees, and to make sure that, the only people talking about Washington, D.C. or whatever are government approved. This is totally out of control. People are getting really sick of this. And it's not a surprise that more and more people are looking into how to reclaim their own sovereignty, so they won't be under all these ridiculous acts and statutes. Because the fact of the matter is, it's by contract. The government doesn't have a God-given right to, impose all these bits of legislation and pocket picking on you. It's by contract, and it's actually voluntary in the sense that you sign up for Social Security, you sign up for a birth certificate or whatever, but you end up in a contract where you're under their jurisdiction. So more and more people are looking into this, and it sounds totally nuts, but there are people driving around with no license on their car. Like, we've all been conned to think that this is the way it is. This is not the way it always was, and this is not the way it has to be. And we've been roped into this because we've been sold the idea of Social Security, which doesn't exist anyway. That's how we got ourselves into this deep mess. So the question now is, how are we going to get ourselves out? But looking into how to reclaim your sovereignty, I think, is a good start and something productive to do.